Every day we coexist with evil. It hides in the quiet corners of our neighborhoods, wears the face of the familiar, and sometimes strikes without warning or mercy. This is Criminal Footnotes, and today we revisit a case that shattered a small town's innocence and left a family forever broken. Kimberly Ramer, or Kim to those who loved her, was born on the 18th, 1980. She was the all-American girl, a bright, friendly high school senior living in Opp, Alabama, a town of fewer than 7,000 people. She played softball, was a cheerleader, and had her eyes set on a career in physical therapy. Her family described her as warm, driven, and full of life. She had just taken her senior portraits on August 14th, 1997. Night before, visiting friends and ending the night with her boyfriend. She arrived home around midnight, just before curfew, parking in the driveway of her father's home. Her dad, Kenneth Ramer, was out of town that night. Kim had made plans to wake up early the next morning to reserve a parking spot at school, but when her father returned early Saturday morning, she was gone. At first, her father wasn't alarmed. Kim sometimes spent weekends shopping with her mother, Sue, who lived just across the Florida state line. But when neither parent had seen her, and no one could get in touch with her, panic set in. It had already been more than 36 hours since anyone had last seen her. The Opp Police Department responded immediately. Inside the home, there were signs of a struggle. A pillow was on the floor. A picture had fallen off the wall. Kim's purse, money, glasses, shoes, and keys were all still in her bedroom untouched. Her car was outside. She had seemingly vanished into thin air, but the evidence suggested otherwise. The police suspected abduction, taken from her own bedroom, sometime between midnight and dawn. Opp, Alabama, had a reputation as a safe close-knit community. People rarely locked their doors. Violent crime was virtually unheard of. Kimberly's disappearance shattered that illusion. The case escalated quickly. The FBI was called in, and search efforts spanned across Alabama and Florida. Despite extensive interviews, including with her family and newly met boyfriend who was cleared after a polygraph, now viable leads emerged, but then came a name. That changed the investigation's course. Jeremy Anderson, 27, was dating Kim's older sister. He had access to the house, and Kim reportedly didn't like him, though she never explained why. On the night Kim disappeared, Jeremy borrowed a truck from his boss, a 1991 blue Ford pickup. The next morning, he arrived at a friend's house, panicked, and asked for help to get rid of the truck later. It was found abandoned outside a church, completely scrubbed clean. Jeremy refused to speak to investigators, refused a polygraph. He was the only person connected to the case who did. He also had a criminal history, and at the time of the disappearance was out on bail yet. Despite the mounting suspicion, no charges were filed. The FBI and volunteers searched across state, lines on foot by helicopter, and with cadaver dogs. Posters of Kim's face were everywhere, truck stops, gas stations, bulletin boards. Her name was on every local news station. In May 1998, acting on a tip, the FBI began searching a pond in Florida, about 10 miles from the Alabama state line. It was believed Kim's body may have been dumped there. Dogs seemed to pick up a scent. Divers were brought in, but the water was dark and murky. Visibility was zero. Over 3 days, they found nothing. Months passed. Leads went cold, but the searches never stopped. Kim's mother, Sue, spent weekends walking wooded trails alone, searching for signs of her daughter. She refused to give up. Years turned into decades. In 2006, another tip sent the FBI to a sinkhole in Ponce de Leon, Florida. It was 53 feet deep and wide and only a few miles from where that truck had been found. Despite sending in 10 divers and spending over 30 hours at the site again, nothing. Later in 2015, investigators dug out an abandoned well behind a decaying house in Coffee County. It was nearly 30 feet deep. Still nothing. Every tip, every clue, every whisper was followed. None brought Kim home. In 2019, law enforcement released an updated flyer with a digitally aged photo showing what Kim might look like today. She would be 43 years old. The flyer was a plea. a reminder that the case was still active, still unsolved. That someone, somewhere, knows what happened. Investigators have interviewed hundreds, followed leads across 4 states, and still believe there are individuals in the Opp area who are hiding the truth. But as of today, no arrests have ever been made. Kim's father passed away, never learning the truth. Her mother, Sue, is now nearly 70. In interviews, still speaks about her daughter in the present tense, as if she could walk through the door at any moment. "If I could tell her something," she once said softly, "I'd tell her I love her very much, and I wish this never happened." Kim should be living a full life, career, a family, maybe even children of her own. Instead, her story remains frozen in time, unsolved, unresolved, unforgettable. This is the story of Kimberly Ramer, a young woman full of promise, stolen in the night, and missing for over 2 decades. Someone still knows what happened, and maybe one day, someone will finally speak up. Asterisk, thank you for joining me on this chilling episode of Criminal Footnotes. If this case moved you, please like, share, and subscribe. Your support helps keep these stories alive, and maybe, just maybe, helps bring justice a little closer. Until next time, stay safe and stay vigilant.